Tonight, words of warning.
The people who are doing the work know how to speak to this conversation.
Frontline workers and their concerns over homeless policies at City Hall. Plus, impassable.
If you've got a decent amount of gas, just keep your engine running. And I just waited.
Drivers stranded on local highways during this weekend's winter storm. And seeking special treatment.
They need some help right now.
The severance pay that he's referring to, the CRA is treating it as it always is.
Should laid-off workers get preferential tax relief?
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a warning from local frontline workers. Dozens have signed a letter to city councillors telling them potential changes to the city's homelessness response will lead to more deaths on London streets. With more on their message, here's Sean Irvin.
Tuesday, London City Council will consider a multi-year housing stability plan. But advocates warn that any changes impacting supportive housing and winter outreach programs will have one result: more tragedy on the street.
We'll see larger numbers of deaths. We'll see larger numbers of injury to people's bodies.
It's the outreach workers who find, as they did not that long ago, the person in their tent with their feet literally frozen to the ground. It's the outreach workers who call 911, who get that person to hospital. It's the outreach workers that save that person's life. We're talking about cutting those services.
Daniel Utzhorn is part of a group of 78 frontline workers behind the open letter. It warns the public about an unnamed group of city councillors the workers contend are determined to defund, limit, and control some city housing services. The letter also opposes any plan to cut agency service contracts with the city from 2 years to 1. Last week, Councillor Susan Stevenson told CTV News the current contracts should only be extended for 1 year, with a 1-year renewal contingent on council's support. The second year would only go through if data suggests programs are working.
How often is EMS and police and fire there? What are the outcomes of people? We say people are being housed, but is it safe and secure? Is it long-lasting?
But the frontline workers argue their collective experience is the best measure to determine which programs are working.
Cumulatively, we have 807.5 years of experience. The people who are doing the work know how to speak to this conversation.
Heading into Tuesday's meeting, the Community and Protective Services Committee is recommending the city back agencies during a 2-year transition period. The frontline workers call it the bare minimum as London's crisis grows.
Nobody wants to think you live in London, Ontario in 2026 and there's on any given night more than 600 people sleeping outside.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Residents in Lambton County have spent the past couple days digging out after a massive winter storm this weekend. There were widespread issues across regional roads, stranding many drivers. And with more on the response, here's Brent Lale.
Chaos on the roads in Lambton County.
This is probably the worst I've ever faced.
A massive snow event with high winds hit west of London, closing the 402 and stranding motorists.
I ended up getting stuck there for just a little over 9 hours.
Several roads from London to Sarnia were impassable because of the drifting snow.
Snowbanks are about 4 to 5 feet tall on each side of the highway. So drivers, if you are traveling with the heavy winds and blowing snow, you may run into visibility issues, whiteout conditions.
There were more than 150 911 calls in the queue. Lambton County set up a command center.
From our end, they're kind of looking where they are, right? If there's people trapped in anywhere. And so it's a good way to do it with the drone. You can fly over and see what's going on there.
Andrew Lundy says he was stuck for more than 6 hours.
They said, yeah, if you've got a decent amount of gas, just keep your engine running, and I cleared away the tailpipe so I wasn't going to die of carbon monoxide. And I just waited.
He remained stranded until 5 Samaritans helped free him when daylight arrived, but he still couldn't get home.
There are no roads that will take me home that are open. There's a few that aren't officially closed but are impassable. cars that are stopped and they're saying, like, don't come down here.
OPP, fire, and local residents with snowmobiles and four-wheel drive trucks helped motorists to area community centers. Warwick Township Mayor Todd Case told CTV News by phone this is the biggest snowstorm since the infamous Snowmageddon in 2010.
This is nothing like that was. We were literally here stranded for 3 or 4 days, but this doesn't even hold a candle to that. But we have roads within our community that are shut down in both directions, so there's really not a path for anybody to go anywhere.
Lundy says this may have been worse than 16 years ago.
I called the OPP, I told the guy what was going on. He said he's been here 25 years and he has never seen it worse, including 2010.
Motorists were trapped for hours and tow companies were busy with reports of more than 300 cars in the ditch.
It was quite the experience, that's for sure.
Sunday morning, nearly 2 days later, the entire highway was reopened. Brent Lale, CTV News.
Good evening. In a blast of cold Arctic air, actually the air from the poles made its way into southern Ontario, and that bitterly cold air generating lake effect snow, blowing snow and blizzard-like conditions. That cold air was with us right through the weekend and into this morning. The temperature at the London airport was minus 24.5 degrees, and that was just before sunrise. Now, the previous record at the London airport was minus 23.7, and that was set back in 1994. Now, the all-time record, that's when we take into account all of the temperatures in and around the area, so the city of London, and before records started to be kept at London Airport, 1934, and that was a minus 32.8. Any way you look at it, it's cold out there. We're sitting at our high right now, minus 9, Midwestern Ontario at minus 8. Wind chills feeling like minus 15 still outside right now. Temperatures are going to come up overnight, and the pattern is shifting. We will see milder air moving in. We also have some snowfall pushing through the Bruce Peninsula and parts of central areas. Grey and Bruce County, you'll pick up about 2 to 4 centimeters as we head through the late evening. Coming up, I'll take you through the forecast, Carlyle. I do have better news to share tonight in terms of some sunshine, and temperatures are headed in the right direction. All of that coming up in just a few.
Thanks very much, Julie. London police say they've now cleared Chesham Avenue, the site of their chemical weapons investigation. The investigation started back on January 24th when a person was arrested on Western University's campus for trespassing with a loaded handgun. That led them to a home on Chesham where police say they found hazardous chemicals that could be used to make explosives. 4 people face numerous weapons offenses, and one of the suspects made a brief court appearance today. He remains in custody pending a date for a bail hearing, which is expected to be set on Friday. London fire crews say they responded to nearly half a dozen fires over the weekend. And as Jerry Dewan reports, it wasn't just the volume of calls that proved challenging, but the conditions as well.
It was a busy 24 hours for London fire crews extending into Monday morning.
We had 5 structure fires in the city last night. That kept the crews quite a bit busy.
And Platoon Chief Brent Shea says fighting fires in the deep cold makes the situation more dangerous and more challenging.
Our difficulties when it gets this cold is that we have to keep the water moving. Stagnant water starts to freeze. So that includes water in our trucks, in our hoses. So that becomes quite a logistical nightmare for us at the scene.
It was below minus 20 when fire crews were battling the blaze here on Horton Street, just west of Adelaide. And fire started Monday morning just after midnight and had crews on scene until almost 8 in the morning. In order to keep the water moving and prevent lines freezing, crews will let water flow out onto the ground. It's a situation firefighters are aware of and prepared for, but the concern is for others who may enter the scene.
Quite often it can be a slip hazard both for vehicles and for people. So we'd rather you stay out of the area until we get things all cleaned up from the call and make things safe again.
Along with the fire on Horton, there were fires on Dillon Street in northeast London, an apartment fire on Dundas, and one at a construction site at the corner of Highbury and Edge Valley Road. Shea says the cold can also create situations that lead to fires.
When things get really cold, people bring in supplemental heaters to situations, and maybe they're not mindful about the spacing and making sure that they don't overwhelm appliances or electrical cords. So be careful of that, absolutely.
The fire department also continues to warn about blocked exhaust pipes for appliances that burn fossil fuels, including furnaces, water heaters, and gas fireplaces. Shea notes that CO detectors are now mandatory near bedrooms and on every floor of a home. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
The manslaughter trial of a former Strathroy babysitter resumed today, several weeks after it was adjourned. Today's testimony came from an investigating officer who went to the home of the woman accused minutes after a toddler was rushed to hospital. Nick Paparella reports.
Shortly after, 15-month-old Nathaniel McClellan was rushed to hospital with a serious head injury in October of 2015. Strathroy Caradoc Detective Constable Chris Haskett was the first to go out to the home of the accused, 46-year-old Megan Van Hoof. He said before going out, "I was told that the belief was that Nathan had fallen down some stairs." He went on, "I was there to talk to Megan about the injured child." He said after speaking with Van Hoof, "I remember her telling me that he didn't fall downstairs, but that he collapsed on a landing in the garage." Days later, the toddler would die in hospital from his injuries. However, it would take officers years to eventually charge the former Strathroy babysitter with manslaughter. Van Hoof has pled not guilty. The trial has dealt with several delays since starting in the fall and is expected to continue into the spring. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Ontario's Inspector General of Policing is launching a sweeping probe into police corruption targeting services across the province. As Siobhan Morris reports, it comes after 8 current and former Toronto police officers were arrested for apparent connections to organized crime.
Cars coming up behind.
They're bombshell allegations of corruption, bribery, conspiracy to commit murder, and drug trafficking involving Toronto police.
This is amongst the greatest betrayals that I've ever seen in my career.
The revelations of Project South and the arrest of 7 current and 1 former Toronto police officer have upended public trust.
Without that trust, it's almost impossible to serve your communities.
The fractures so deep, Ontario's Inspector General of Policing is launching an unprecedented review, not just of Toronto police.
We'll look at the entire sector across Ontario. Once the inspection is complete, the inspector will provide a findings report, which we will make public.
The monumental task of digging into every police service in the province will be done by someone yet to be hired, a movement to ensure
that this work is focused, that it is the top priority and only priority of this individual.
It adds some distance, too. Teschner is a former executive on the Toronto Police Services Board and swore in the current chief.
I think it's crucial right off the bat to make sure that if whoever they do decide to bring in, that is people or persons that have nothing to do with Ontario.
It's not clear when this new investigator will start their work.
That's a huge task. I mean, the OPP has 165 reporting locations alone.
The Toronto Police Chief welcomes the expanded scope triggered by Project South.
I'll be seeking the suspension without pay for 6 of the 7 members who have been alleged to have committed criminal offenses.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Leaders on a pair of local First Nations are issuing travel advisories, telling band members not to travel to the United States because of racial profiling south of the border, leading to Native Americans being arrested and interrogated. Scott Miller reports.
Native Americans from Minnesota have been printing off their tribal identification so they have documentation if they are stopped by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers.
Folks are being racially targeted and profiled right now for having dark hair, dark skin.
That fear has spread to Canada, where leaders with the Saugeen First Nation and Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation, both in Bruce County, have put out United States travel advisories for their members.
Because Indigenous peoples have, I think, a certain color to their skin. They're being targeted by the United States of America, Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Chief Conrad Ritchie with the Saugeen First Nation had this to say: ICE has targeted tribal citizens, so it's important to know your rights and have proper documentation. Leaders with both Saugeen and Nawash are urging band members to carry their birth certificate, green card, passport, and even a special letter confirming 50% American Indian blood quantum if they do travel south.
We do have members that are making inquiries to our band office about these blood quantum letters, which are a requirement of the United States for people to live and work there.
While Keishik Martin says she's unaware of any of their band members being stopped by ICE, it has been a daily occurrence in places like Minnesota, say First Nations members there.
We were the first peoples here, and it's just crazy that our people are getting picked up, and thrown in a car and brought out to some federal holding place. That's sad.
Keishik Martin says NAWASH's U.S. travel advisory will remain in effect indefinitely.
I don't think we could have imagined this a few years ago or several years ago. It's putting more fear into our people.
In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
A ceremony was held this morning in St. Thomas honoring a local fire captain who was killed in the line of duty 25 years ago. Brent Lale has more on the commemorative piece of memorabilia created in his memory.
25 years ago feels like yesterday, but let's not make this a somber event. Let's make it a celebration.
Rob Redmond recalls the day his father Dennis was killed in the line of duty in St. Thomas, falling from an upper floor window. He carries on his legacy as a firefighter.
It's full of ups and downs, but to be truthfully honest, I'm honored to be here with this department, following in my father's footsteps.
Captain Dennis Redmond taught us something else, that we must live and make every moment count.
A ceremony with dignitaries and retired firefighters was held at Station 1 to honor Captain Redmond and his family.
My father was a big advocate for the fire service. Everybody knows that, including myself. So he was a big proponent for me, to push me in this direction. To honor that and honor that legacy, speaks volumes.
And there's about to be a third generation Redmond. Rob's daughter Danielle is an aspiring firefighter and was just accepted to the Lambton College fire program.
Looking at the fire service, family's a big aspect in it. And then just looking back at my family, my grandpa and my dad, seeing them, it's kind of like a big drive for me to do something that I'm passionate about and follow their footsteps.
To commemorate the 25th anniversary of Captain Redmond's passing, the fire department has created a special challenge coin. It has Captain Redmond's face on the one side and the fire department logo on the other.
I'd like Rob and his family to be the first to accept this challenge coin.
This commemorates his memory and will forever be on a coin that we can share and give out to members of our department, retirees, and his family. It's a great honor to be able to have this coin and have it in his memory.
The coin will be available to the public at St. Thomas Fire Station 1.
To have his name and have his picture on that coin, speaks volumes to, how this department, memorializes not only its past members, but its current members and future members as well.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
When we come back, travel concerns in Cuba. Air Canada canceling flights over fuel shortage concerns, potentially stranding vacationers. Plus, Canadian athletes make their mark on day 3 of the Winter Olympics in Milan.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. Air Canada officials say they are canceling all flights to Cuba for the foreseeable future because of jet fuel shortages on the Caribbean island. This after federal officials issued a travel warning last week. Heather Wright reports.
Beginning Tuesday, jet fuel will no longer be available to international airlines in Cuba. The latest sign of the devastating impact the U.S. fuel blockade is having on the Caribbean nation.
We came to Cuba knowing what to expect. There's some things you'll have every day, some things you won't. I mean, that's a norm for here.
But what has been the norm is deteriorating quickly with widespread shortages of food, fuel, and medicine. Air Canada announced today it is suspending services to Cuba, focusing instead on repatriating the roughly 3,000 passengers who are still there. WestJet and Air Transat have not suspended service but have issued travel notices, allowing for free changes or cancellations. This all comes as Cuba experiences the worst economic crisis in nearly 70 years.
We don't get to see how it truly affects the Cuban life on the island.
For decades, Venezuela had been the primary source of oil for Cuba, a source that was cut off when the United States captured Venezuela's president in January. Then U.S. President Donald Trump said he would impose tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba, further depleting its sources of fuel. Some experts say Cuba is on the brink.
By the typical definition of what we think of as a failed state, Cuba is sort of on the cusp of it.
The government has closed hotels in Veradero and is consolidating tourists to save on resources. Fuel sales are being limited, while school and business hours have also been reduced. Cuba has said it is open to negotiating with the United States to end this oil blockade. Meanwhile, the government is warning its citizens to prepare for hard times beyond what they are experiencing now. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A second medal for Canada at the Winter Olympics today. Another bronze captured in free ski slope style. With a recap of all the action from day 3, here's Scott Hurst.
This thing is really heavy. I think it's beautiful.
Canada's Megan Oldham is already loving life as an Olympic medalist. The 24-year-old from Parry Sound, Ontario, north of Toronto, soared to new heights on the biggest stage. With skis raised and medals around their necks, the top 3 making sure they got a podium selfie to freeze the moment in time.
Oh, I feel incredible. It still feels a bit like a dream.
Bronze in women's ski slope style, and redemption for finishing just off the podium in big air at the Beijing Games 4 years ago. An Olympic accomplishment Oldham will never forget.
I'm so proud of myself for putting a run down and being able to get up on the podium and bring home a bronze for Canada.
Quebec's Naomi Ernest, who finished 7th in the ski slopestyle final, says it's an inspiration to watch her teammate on the podium.
Definitely seeing her success here really inspires me, and I'm so happy for her, and hopefully I can do the same one day or maybe in 4 years.
Expect to see both women compete in the big air competition as well later in the week. It was a close call for Quebec City's Beatrice Lamarche in the women's 1,000-meter speed skating final. The 27-year-old in her first Olympics was in the bronze medal position watching the final pair of skaters. Ultimately, the second-generation Olympian was bumped down to 5th, less than 1 second off the podium. Canada's medal count is now 2 as the first full week of competition is well underway. Bronze for Valérie Malte in long track speed skating, and now bronze for Megan Oldham in ski slopestyle. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Away from the official competitions, there's an Olympic tradition that carries its own intensity among fans. For decades, collectors have flocked to host cities, not to watch the high-level athletics, but to get their hands on special edition pins. As Garrett Barry reports, it's become serious business.
An Olympic morning in Milan means, of course, competition. To these victors, the spoils, an exclusive city pin. To many others, broken hearts if they arrived too late for the prize.
Yes, we are trying this, but it's not going great for now. We don't have any pins for now.
The quest for Milan's perfect pin will take you all over the city. Each day here, there's a scavenger hunt of sorts, where the city's tourism information board posts a new location in the morning, and pin collectors congregate here to try to get a chance at a limited edition giveaway. This morning in Milan's Navigli district, people waited hours for the small souvenir.
Well, they're giving them out and it's kind of a hunt for them, so it makes it fun. Because I live in Milan, quindi I want these pins, all pins.
I love pins. I don't know, I love putting them on my clothes, and it's an easy accessory.
Some have been doing this for decades. Meet Thomas Rondi, a pin collector for 14 Olympic Games running, with the hardware to show.
It's really interesting. People have so much fun at it, and it's not really official yet for the Olympics, and we're in a club called the Olympin, and we're trying to literally get it part of the Olympics officially.
You'll find him anywhere in this city, always open for pin trading business. Even CTV anchor Heather Butts got in on the action.
This is the Paralympic Winter Games from Vancouver 2010.
The deal done.
We'll do that trade, and then you trade, and then you have fun, and you say thank you very much.
But there's more business to do. Rondi says each Olympic city starts a little cold, but towards the end of the games, it's a full-on frenzy to get your favorite pin while you can. Garrett Barry, CTV News in Milan.
Back on the desk now with Julie Addison. Our own Winter Olympic event might just be snow shoveling this season so far, although it was the cold we were contending with this weekend. Did it sound like there might be warmer temperatures on the way, though? You're teasing earlier in the newscast.
Yeah, milder conditions. The tide is turning. Things looking up.
Due for a shift.
In terms of our daytime highs, we're going to head near normal and above in the coming days. Today was so cold this morning. We had wind chills near minus 30, bitterly cold temperatures. As you can see, that's reported at the London airport, recorded at about 5 a.m. Temperature right now is sitting at -9. Winds are light out of the east. A warm front slowly pushing some warm air towards Midwestern Ontario tonight. We have a bit of snowfall coming down, and that snow will continue through the late evening, overnight, and early tomorrow. Generally, snowfall amounts 2 to 4 centimeters tonight, and then a couple more centimeters tomorrow. So in total, most areas will pick up between 4 and 8 centimeters of snow. But south of that and southwest, not expecting anything. So London, Oxford County, St. Thomas, towards Sarnia, Chatham area, no snow in your forecast, but there is the risk for some light freezing drizzle overnight and into tomorrow morning. Now, we've been dealing with this bitterly cold air, polar air over the weekend. That air has now retreated back to the north, and we have more of a zonal flow that is set up with our jet stream. We have some warm temperatures that have returned to the southern plains, but the cold not quite as intense across the southern prairies, as you can see. So snowfall tonight east of Georgian Bay towards the Peterborough area and east to Ottawa. Snowfall is expected. Generally, as I mentioned, snowfall amounts will be under 10 centimeters, but Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement for parts of northern Ontario and areas off to the northeast. In London, again, not a high impact system, not expecting anything out of this, just a very low probability of that freezing drizzle. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we'll see some breaks in the cloud cover, so we have some peaks of sunshine on the way, and temperatures, as I mentioned, are headed up. We'll see the temperature rise overnight and into tomorrow morning, so we're not going to see overnight lows bottoming out. As you can see, snowfall amounts generally under that mark, but areas off to the east, northeast towards Ottawa will bear the brunt of this weather system. Tomorrow, winds out of the south-southwest heading into the afternoon, and look at that. A forecast high of +1. That is going to be absolutely beautiful. In terms of our forecast highs in the coming days, things look great. We will see a bit of a dip on Wednesday, the high -1, but expecting a mix of sun and cloud. And conditions this week, look at this, Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, mix of sun and cloud. That'll carry us right into Saturday, some calmer conditions. Sunday, we could pick up a little bit of light snowfall, the high +1 and 1 degree on Monday. So forecast models last week were predicting that we would start to see a nice shift this week. It's materializing quite nicely. This forecast delivering temperatures back to normal and above this coming week. So we will be experiencing lots of sunshine, a nice mix of sun and cloud. Midwestern Ontario, you have that snow in your forecast though overnight, especially through Grey and Bruce County. Huron and Perth, you're really on the fringe of this. You could see some very light snowfall in the northern areas of those counties. Heading into tomorrow morning, same weather story, a little bit of light snowfall first thing, the risk for patchy freezing drizzle. And then we're into cloudy with sunny breaks Wednesday, -2, -1 on Thursday with a mix of sun and cloud, a mix on Friday. And heading into Family Day weekend, if you do have travel plans, Sunday looks like the day where we'll pick up a little bit of light snowfall, but Saturday and Monday both looking great, cloudy with sunny breaks, nice conditions, perhaps if you are traveling to see some family. So Carlyle, this is a good news forecast tonight. Temperatures headed up above freezing in London tomorrow, and it looks like lots of sunshine to carry us through this week.
We'll take it. All right, Julie, thanks very much. Still ahead, a debate over local severance pay lands at Parliament Hill. Why the Conservatives think laid-off workers should get a tax break on their severance.
Let's get you out of this cold weather and somewhere warm, beautiful, and tropical. Tomorrow morning at 7:10 in Prizetown, you have another chance to score a $100 OLG voucher. Just think of where all that money could take you.
Union leaders representing laid-off auto workers at Ingersoll's Kami Assembly plant say they have not requested tax relief for their members. Those comments were made after the federal Conservatives called on the Liberal government to reduce taxes on workers' severance packages. Brian Bicknell reports.
I'm sure everyone's seen the letter that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, sent to the finance minister with respect to the state of the auto industry in Canada on February the 9th.
Conservative Labour critic Kyle Seaback was joined by Oxford Conservative MP Arpan Khanna and others as they called for the government to reduce taxes on severance packages for laid-off workers at the Kami assembly plant.
Our workers need relief right now. They can't wait a year and a half to get some of the money back. They need some help right now. So we're calling on Minister of Finance to pass some measures with a stroke of a pen, help those workers.
GM announced last year it would end its BrightDrop electric vehicle production at Kami. About 1,200 employees have been laid off. The Conservatives claim the government is withholding 50% of their lump sum payouts.
These workers have called me and told me that it feels like they're being kicked down while they've already been on the floor.
According to the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, you must pay income tax on severance. If it's a lump sum, your employer will deduct the income tax. The amount of tax depends on the province or territory and total severance pay. In question period Monday, London North Centre MP Peter Fragascatos responded to the call for tax relief.
He also knows, Mr. Speaker, that for the severance pay that he's referring to, the CRA is treating it as it always is, as a matter of Canadian law. The time is to put away politics. Let's work together on behalf of the people of Ingersoll and the auto sector.
Unifor Local 88, which represents laid-off Kami workers, says individual members may have approached their local MP about the issue, but the union has not formally made any such request. Local 88 President Stephen Pye tells CTV News the Conservative move is political posturing at the expense of our members, and that Unifor is not in the practice of divulging monetary compensation of members. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
The operators of Eddie Bauer's Canadian stores say they filed for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. and will soon make a similar move in Canada. According to company officials, they'll keep the 220 stores across both countries open, but they'll start liquidation sales as the court process gets underway and a potential buyer is pursued. If they can't find someone to buy the business, they say operations in both Canada and the U.S. will wind down. About half of the company's 31 Canadian stores are in Ontario, and there are already markdown sales of at least 60%. Canada's main stock index moved up on strength in the base metals sector. The TSX gained 552 points. In New York, the Dow added just 20 points, the Nasdaq up 207. The Canadian dollar gained 0.39 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold added almost $100 an ounce. Oil is up 81 cents a barrel. Later on CTV News, stories of Canadian veterans and their Caribbean connections brought to life in a new children's book. Welcome back. A new survey suggests most Albertans, if given the choice, would vote to stay in Canada. An Angus Reid Institute survey found fewer than 3 in 10 respondents would vote for separation if a referendum were held today. 65% of respondents said they would vote to remain in Canada, most of them saying their decision is definite. Many opposed to separation said the most convincing reasons to stay are a sense of Canadian identity and concerns about practicality. Albertans who would vote to separate said they were largely unconvinced by arguments to stay. Provincial leaders in British Columbia say they're interested in hosting Canada's Defence, Security and Resilience Bank to drive economic growth throughout the country.
To make sure that this bank is able to fulfill its mandate. We were thrilled to hear the Government of Canada announce that we would be launching a bid to be the headquarters of this new bank. And British Columbia and Vancouver are uniquely placed to be able to help this bank fulfill its mandate.
The DSR Bank is a new institution focused on financing certain projects for NATO members and allies, specifically around defense. The Ontario government has also expressed interest in hosting the bank's headquarters in Toronto. Hosting the bank would create an estimated 3,500 jobs. A Nova Scotia arena is going green, an effort to cut costs and potentially pass on savings. With more on the motivation behind the sustainability project, here's Paul Hollingsworth.
This community-run arena is always fully booked with hockey games and figure skating sessions. It's also an expensive facility to run, which is why the operators applied for a federal Green Initiative grant. Recently, they scored a big win.
$1.3 million.
That money will cover the cost to convert from electricity to solar power later this year, making it the first solar-powered arena in Nova Scotia. The switch could be a game changer, shaving off more than $14,000 a month in expensive power bills.
But what this is going to do for us is generate income to support the operation over the long term.
Those who use the arena hope the savings will allow it to continue to be a community destination for sports events.
It's the hub. It's the hub of Sackville. Learning about the history of this arena and the people that have made this arena possible. We're in a position now where I think that we can actually make this rink strong for another 50 years.
By making this rink more sustainable and financially viable, operators can use the money they save to renovate and upgrade the facility.
No arena makes money. The operating season is too short.
A new concrete pad under the ice surface and upgraded boards will now be affordable.
That's another $600,000 project.
By keeping costs down, Smith hopes to pass savings on to local families, giving sports a brighter look for people who use this soon-to-be solar-powered arena. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia.
Below freezing temperatures are transforming Niagara Falls. On the American side, the falls are partially frozen over, but depending on the angle, they can look like they're totally iced over. The strong currents, more than 20 million gallons of water a minute, are too powerful to freeze completely, though. The water flows underneath the frozen layer of mist and spray. The only recorded instance of the river being completely halted was by an ice jam back in 1848. Tomorrow on CTV News, a local favorite rises from the ashes. The Black Walnut Cafe opened once again after a suspected arson tore through the popular Wortley Village restaurant. Tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Our photograph of the day comes to us from Mike Goslin. This was taken on Lake Erie at dawn. Temperatures are set to climb in the coming days. We're above freezing tomorrow in London. A little bit of light snowfall in Midwestern Ontario and the risk of patchy freezing drizzle. Lots of sunshine in the extended forecast. Calmer conditions this week.
Breaking news this hour, President Donald Trump is criticizing Canada's building of the Gordie Howe Bridge connecting Windsor and Detroit. In a post on social media, Trump says negotiations will begin immediately, ensuring that the U.S. owns part of the bridge. According to Trump, the bridge would be entirely owned by Canada, adding he will not allow it to open until the U.S. is fully compensated for everything it has given to Canada. The outgoing Canadian ambassador to the U.S. is predicting a challenging negotiation ahead as the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement comes up for review and potential renewal. With more, here's Kamil Karamali.
In a year when the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade deal, or CUSMA, is up for review amid a bitter trade war, there remains a cloud of uncertainty on what will happen next.
He says different things at different times.
Now on CTV's Question Period, Canada's outgoing ambassador to the U.S. unsure on whether U.S. President Donald Trump will even keep CUSMA or scrap it altogether.
I think that the president has a strong view around the U.S. being able to do more itself. How that translates with respect to this treaty, I don't know.
The U.S. has tried to do more without Canada and Mexico, announcing a sweeping deal with China in November, a deal where Chinese President Xi Jinping has already delivered on his end of the trade pact, according to the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury.
They've completed their soybean purchases. It's my belief that President Trump is the only world leader who Xi respects.
While also trying to limit other countries from relying on China, Prime Minister Mark Carney drawing Trump's ire after a preliminary trade deal with China last month. But former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland appearing Friday on an American talk show with this message to the U.S.
The world's democracies will be really much poorer
if you guys don't get your act together.
Her take, a deal with China should not be Canada's first choice.
Because a world in which we need to start relying on China, this is not a world where human rights matter. This is not a world where democracy matters.
But it might end up being one of Canada's more reliable options, with growing calls to reduce dependency on the U.S. as CUSMA enters the most consequential phase of its existence since it was signed. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
American television host Savannah Guthrie says she's willing to pay for her missing mother's release as investigators search for the missing 84-year-old presumed kidnapped.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Guthrie was referencing a message sent to a local television station. According to FBI investigators, Nancy Guthrie was taken against her will from her home outside Tucson, Arizona last weekend. Her blood was found on her front porch, and so far no suspects have been identified. Jeffrey Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell drew criticism today, refusing to answer questions at a congressional hearing, pleading the Fifth.
We would have brought her in months ago, but she's indicated she was going to plead the Fifth, and unfortunately, she had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation, and she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment right.
Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in helping Epstein sexually abuse young girls. Her lawyer says she is ready to answer any questions if she is granted clemency or immunity from President Donald Trump, something several Republican members are pushing against. In the UK, Prince William and Princess Catherine expressed concern today for Jeffrey Epstein's victims. The Prince and Princess of Wales say they are deeply concerned by the latest revelations about Epstein in their first public statement on the scandal. The comments come as William and Catherine distance themselves from former Prince Andrew's ties to Epstein. Andrew lost his royal titles in October, and King Charles forced him out of his home near Windsor Castle. Denmark's foreign minister says the crisis over American threats to take over Greenland isn't over. It's something that has, in recent weeks, become part of daily life in the autonomous Danish territory. Abigail Beeman has more on what the conflict means for the people who live there.
The difference between Canada and our way of thinking is not so different.
David Rogolds and his wife, Bibi Chemnitz, run this brand and store of the same name and launched what's become a popular T-shirt in the wake of Donald Trump's threats.
Overall general feeling in Greenland is that we cannot be bought.
Like many we spoke with in Nuuk, he is happy with the increased support of countries like Canada, newly opening a consulate.
Even though our T-shirt says we're not for sale, we're open for business with everybody, like Canada, France, US. But we're not selling anything from off our country. They can buy fish, they can buy clothes, they can buy minerals if they buy license, but not the country.
Here on the streets in Nuuk, many are reluctant to share their opinions about international relations. There's been an overwhelming amount of international attention here, and some think that's a good thing, with more people visiting and learning about Greenland.
It is nice to know that we are not alone.
Do you feel still worried about threats from the United States?
50-50.
America.
It's dangerous and afraid for her, but I hope it still be good.
Though there has been progress, say Greenland and Denmark's foreign ministers, it's still too early to know where talks with the U.S. administration will land in what they are still calling a crisis. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Nuuk, Greenland.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Finally tonight, a new Canadian children's book meant to teach kids about the contributions of Caribbean immigrants during Black History Month. With more, here's Carol Charles.
Yolanda Marshall is celebrating the launch of her latest children's book, Marching North. Written for children ages 5 to 10, it's the first Canadian picture book that highlights Caribbean immigrants who served for Canada in the First and Second World War. She says it's a great introduction for young children.
And this is a wonderful book to get them into talking about these wonderful soldiers. And, you know, I hope it inspires them to want to become amazing, and even writers too, right?
Featured in this colorful 40-page picture book are 8 soldiers who served and fought for Canada at a time when their rights were limited.
We have Isaac Phelps, George Livingstone, William Gale, Thomas Gale, Ethelbert Lionel Cross. We have Hubert Greenidge, Dr. Joseph Liverpool, and also Owen Roe.
On hand for the launch, historian Kathy Grant, the daughter of Owen Roe. She's happy to see the legacy of her father and those of the other soldiers being shared with the greater community.
I know that my dad is looking down and he is smiling, he is laughing, he is dancing.
Despite facing hardships on and off the battlefield, many of these men return home to become doctors, teachers, lawyers, and community leaders.
We came from brave people, very strong, resilient people who came here and they contributed immensely.
The book will be available through Amazon, Indigo, and here at a different book list. Carol Charles, CTV News.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.